In this video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about my first Opinel knife. Now, I found this knife on Blade HQ. It cost me $6.50, and I had never seen these before. I gotta give a shout out to Blade HQ as well, because they claim 4 to 6 days shipping on their website for normal orders. This knife got to me in 2 days. 2 days after I placed the order, it was in my mailbox. So it comes in this nice, efficient, handsome little cardboard box thing, just bent shape. And what I'm going to do in this video is hopefully, I'm going to try and organize my information by talking first about what I don't like about the knife, second, what I do like about the knife, and third, I'm going to try and give you a little bit of history about the company, because I did some research after getting my first Opinel knife. So, it comes in this little box. I'll open it up here. And the first impression of the knife is, that's a tiny knife. That is a very small knife. It was much smaller than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, they post the blade length online and everything, but I guess I didn't really get out my ruler and say, wow, that's going to be a very small knife. So I pulled this out of the box and thought, good grief. I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I will do my best. Get some focus here, camera. So, this is the Opinel knife. I have had it out of the box a little bit. I've had it in my pocket for a few days. I've used it very minimally. When it came to me initially, it was not as sharp as I would have liked. I was expecting it to be sharper. Of course, some of that might be that the last knife that I got from Blade HQ was literally a razor blade, and very few knives are actually that sharp. So this got to me, and I was a little bit disappointed by the edge, but I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. My biggest gripe is probably just that it's tiny, which I guess for some people is a good thing. It's a good side for some. Depends on how you look at it. Also, I don't think you can see it very well on the camera, but the blade curves towards the tip just a little bit, towards the side that my finger is on. It comes this way, just a little tiny bit, and it came like that out of the box. So I don't know if mine's a fluke or if that was because of the way it was carrying in my pocket. It does ride very snugly in this little groove in the handle here, and I don't know if you're going to be able to hear or not, but you can wiggle it back and forth in that slot a little bit, and you may be able to hear that clicking. I don't like that for my edge. Granted, it is wood. The handle is beechwood, by the way. They've used beechwood for basically forever, since the company's been around. And there's no lock on this knife. It's just a simple friction folder. It's held in place fairly securely. You know, it doesn't flop around. It's not going to pop open accidentally in your pocket. Now, that being said, there is a method that some people use of opening the knife where they hit the butt of the knife like this on something. And I've been able to get this to pop open a little bit, but this is a tiny little blade. Now, this is the Opinel number 3. Initially, there were, I believe, 12 sizes of Opinel knives. And this being the number 3, there were 2 sizes smaller than this knife. As small as this knife is, there were 2 sizes smaller. The number 1, I found out, was actually discontinued in 1935 because it was actually a 2-centimeter blade used for like cleaning pipes and horseshoes and whatnot. They discontinued it because they decided it was just too small. I probably would be hard-pressed to find a lot of uses for a 2-centimeter blade in something that's not, carried on a lanyard or on my keys or on a pocket clip or something like that. But for just a pocket knife, it's a little bit difficult to fish around in your pocket for this knife. Obviously, there's no pocket clip, so in order to find it, you need to know what you're feeling for in your pants pocket, which is where I've been carrying it. So let's talk about what I do like. I do like the design. This is a beautiful knife, I have to say. It's gorgeous. And I have hit the blade a little bit with a little sharpening stone, so there's a little bit of marking on there. I'm going to hit it some more I'm actually going to try and put a little bit of a polish on this because the blade is high carbon steel. It's not stainless. So it is more susceptible to corrosion. And a matte finish or a satin finish is more susceptible to corrosion than a mirror finish because there is more surface area available and more places for moisture to gather and collect and sit. So the blade being high carbon steel, it will take a very fine edge. I've discovered it does take a good edge, and I'm going to put an even better one on there. I just haven't yet. And I wanted to do this video being able to show you a little bit the logo before sharpening, because I feel like when I sharpen this, I'm going to hit the whole face of the blade, and it may mar the logo just a little bit. This groove I was worried about for no reason. I've discovered since carrying it, the groove is very, very small, and you can barely feel it. It's not going to cause any sort of pinching or anything if you're grabbing the knife. Now granted, there's no safety mechanism on this knife. It's just a friction folder. So if you're doing very heavy duty tasks with this knife, you're using the wrong tool. This is not designed for super heavy duty use. So I recommend a different knife if you're going to try to baton through a log or something, obviously. But that being said, with a little 2-finger grip on this, it is actually quite comfortable. I love the look of the wood. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful handle. The blade is nice. It is a little weird that the blade doesn't look like it opens all the way, but I've discovered that's by design. The idea is for the point of the blade to be in line with the pivot here all the way to the back, so it forms a straight line from the point to the pivot to the tail. And that's pretty cool. The ferrule here at the top is also designed to stop on the blade, so that any force on the blade this way, any force that you're putting, cutting force, is distributed to the ferrule itself, and you're not just making a divot into a piece of wood. So it's not stopped against wood. That's a very nice design. Jumping ahead of myself a little bit here, I will tell you that the Opinel knife was featured, or I should say it was designated by the Victoria and Albert Museum in 1985 as one of the 100 best designed objects in the world. This alongside a Porsche 911 and the Rolex watches. So it is a beautiful knife. It feels good in hand. I love the minimalist design. It's simplistic. I haven't put it through a lot of use yet. Obviously, I'm going to sharpen the blade, as I said, and put it through more use. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the history of the company. I found out this is a very old design. Joseph Opinel, his family lived in the Savoy region of France in a town. Now, I know I'm going to butcher this. I'm sorry. I don't know how to speak French properly, but there's a town that it's from, or that his family lived in, called Saint Jean de Maurienne, I believe. And this is how we get into the logo a little bit. You can't see it very well on this knife because it's so dang small, but the logo looks like this. It's got a hand with 3 fingers like this. Let's see if I can get that better. 3 fingers like this. And the idea behind that is part of the coat of arms for the city or township or whatever it is of Saint Jean de Maurienne. A long time ago, I guess somebody brought back one of the relics of the Catholic Church. Now, granted, I'm not Catholic, so I don't know a lot about this, but what I understand is that they have specific items that they call relics that they revere and hold in memory of those people who they honor religiously. So at one point, 3 fingers, 1, 2, and 3, were brought back to Saint Jean de Maurienne of John the Baptist, which I think is where the place gets its name, Saint John. So that became their coat of arms, and that's featured in the logo as a sort of token of where this knife comes from. Now, Saint Jean de Maurienne is in the Savoy region of France, which has long since been, or I should say, for many years was a duchy that was ruled by the Savoy family. And the Savoy family coat of arms features a crown. So there's a crown on the top of that coat of arms. Or on the top of the logo, the crown is featured in the coat of arms of the Savoy region. So the logo for the Opinel Knife Company is sort of a pride stamp of where the knife is from and where the family's history lies. Joseph Opinel's family settled there a couple generations before he did. A peddler started selling or doing blacksmithing, his grandfather did, and then his father began specializing in sharp-edged tools. And Joseph Opinel was actually an inventor of sorts. He was fascinated with the manufacturing process, and when he was young, he made his own camera. And in the family business, he began focusing on making machines that could produce things that his family produced, namely these knives, in a much larger quantity. So he actually kind of went against the grain as far as his father and grandfather were concerned. He left the family business of blacksmithing and got into manufacturing. He made his first Opinel knife of this design in 1890. So this being year 2015, they've been around for 125 years. Which is amazing to me that this design has been kicking it for so long. He started small time like that. Today, the Opinel family, the Opinel company, sells over 15 million knives every year. So I've given my little $6.15 contribution to the family. I'm excited about using this knife. I'll give you a review in the future of how it performs, of how it holds an edge. But in the meantime, I hope this has been informative to you. If you have any questions about the Opinel knife, or if you would like to see anything done with it, please leave them in the comments. And I appreciate you taking the time to watch. Hope you have a fantastic day.